Okay. How do we start this? Hey, how's it going? You know me, I'm Kyle, and I'm guessing that by the time this video makes it to either channel, you'll know Lady Kyle here.
Hello.
And we are about to move. We have not, I won't go into all the logistics of that, but we are about to move, and so I have packed up my entire collection. And so this is sort of a decompression post-mortem video, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Because really that was the final display version of that collection for all time.
Yeah.
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 And you said you had some questions you wanted to ask me, and then I also have some little tales that I wanted to tell as I was packing things up.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe what I should do is I should start by saying specifically, I have lived in this house for just over 11 years. And when I moved into this house, if I have photos to show you, I will, but I had barely any collection. I had a sizable collection for someone who lived by himself, or not by himself, but lived in a very small apartment. Mm-hmm. But when I moved in here, it was a huge room, as you guys have all seen.
Yeah.
And it was basically like very sporadically populated by my toys. And it was everything. It was like Godzilla stuff, all the Kaiju stuff, and superhero stuff, and Star Wars stuff, and Hellboy stuff. So it wasn't just Godzilla at the time. That took maybe like 4 or 5 years for me to get to that point.
Yeah, around the time that I showed up.
Yeah.
Things had been honed into a little more of a Godzilla-centric space.
Yeah.
So I saw... I mean, obviously, I saw the whole collection at its pinnacle, at its peak, if you want to call it that.
It's endgame.
It's endgame, yeah. When you were like, okay, I think this is it. And it's always been sort of an organic being. Like, it's never stopped.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, no.
It's...
In fact, I've got a box coming tomorrow, actually.
While you say, this is it, I'm done. There's a box coming tomorrow.
It was a pre-order, I promise.
It's not his fault. Yeah. But yeah, it's been really interesting to see it even in so now I've been living here for...
You've been living here for over 9 years.
Oh, yeah. Because today is our 10th anniversary.
That's right.
Of the first date we ever went on, right?
10 years ago, that's right. 10 years ago today.
10 years ago
You'll
today.
just have to guess what date that is, Internet.
I know, right?
But you've been here. So when you got here, I was already in full swing with the podcast and having people over and stuff for that show. And essentially right before you came into my life, actually, is like maybe the year before, I realized, oh my gosh, I actually make enough money now that I could buy some of the things that I want.
You really, really wanted, yeah.
And so one of the first things I got was the Max Factory Gamera statue, which is that big one in there that's still not packed up because it's way too big to do so. But that was expensive. Like, that was the first time I dropped like $300 on something, and I was like, check me out. And that was like the beginning of that, because like once I realized that, then I was like, well, I can continue to collect now. Mm-hmm. And that is probably when I had that collection goal that I'm like, I'm going to get one of each representation of every kaiju, subsequently changing that to every Toho kaiju. Because once I got into Ultraman, I was like, oh my God, this is never ending.
Well, it is like my ass ignorantly thinking, I'm like, how many could that be?
How many could that be?
Not that many, right?
I never counted how many it could be.
We could.
Somebody, I'm sure, out there has that on.
That's another video, though, is the ABCs of every single
of Kaiju.
But yeah, clearly you opened up my world to many, many monsters, many different kinds of monsters. And it was really, I feel like in the time, so when I moved in to now, I don't feel like the collection has like completely drastically changed in any way because of the thing I said about it being sort of a moving organic being of toys, where it is sort of constantly changing. Like it's breathing. It is. It's going in and out all the time because too, it's like you'll buy a thing and you'll love it for whatever amount of time you loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it is just your kaiju toy karma of you wanting to pass it on to somebody else or whatever it is. And how often that kind of works out for you. And then you get something else you really want or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how much as a collector, and even with other collectors I've met through you, people who are on the show now, obviously like David, how much that happens as a non-serious collector type person. Like I collect little things. I've had like Pez collections as a kid and Barbies and things like that. And now I have like vintage cameras and baby Yodas and things like that. And obviously you're very supportive of my collections, but they're always so much smaller and like we in comparison, like I cannot and will not ever try to get to that goal
that's a good
of
thing.
That room because it frightens people.
It does frighten people
in good and bad ways.
So I've been we'll get back to the frightening people in a second, but this is where the very beginning of 2022, and essentially I have been collecting. I've considered myself a collector of Godzilla stuff since I started buying the Trendmaster toys in 1995.
So before pre-T-Bone.
Pre-T-Bone, way pre-T-Bone.
Wow.
And pre-Portland, too.
Yeah.
Back when I lived on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
The super quick plug, one of the people that served up my soon-to-be addiction of vinyl monsters was Sean Lincolnback of Showcase Kaiju. Because back in 1995, he had a physical store in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh my god!
And I went to school in Savannah, Georgia. So, it was super close by. I could drive up in in a day or whatever, and no problem. But B, like, it was just like the first place that I was able to actually see figures in person, like from Japan.
Do you remember when we could go to stores and buy toys?
When
do you
was that?
remember?
I don't remember.
So long ago.
So long. I have to rely on my nostalgic memories.
No.
But yeah,
anyway, sorry,
that was when I was in 1995, 1996 were my last 2 years of school.
Yeah.
And that's when I got on the internet. That's when I found all this stuff, and that's when I really started collecting.
Yeah.
But I still was I did not make any money at that time. I was a student, and so I had very little stuff. The stuff you could get at the Trendmasters figures, of course, were in Toys R Us.
I was going to say Toys R Us.
So you're looking at like a $15 to $20 figure, which was completely affordable to me. Hey, buddy.
You coming to say hi?
And so basically, that's where I started buying stuff. Then I found out about the Japanese stuff, and then I moved to Oregon shortly after that. Yeah. And once I was in Oregon, I just kind of like mellowed. I bought stuff every once in a while, like because I was getting G-Fan magazine and there would be advertisements for like the new Bandai figures. But it wasn't until I got hooked up with somebody in Japan that really started growing the collection. Actually, just before that, it was when eBay came around.
Oh, right.
So
the magic of eBay.
The magic of eBay.
When it
Holy
first showed
smokes.
up.
I remember when you could search. I sound like an old man here.
I remember.
When you could search Godzilla on eBay, and there would only be like 40 results for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But for years and years, it was like that, and then eBay exploded.
And
now it is what it is. But anyway,
how close did you actually get to getting one of every single Toho Kaiju?
I came really close.
Really close?
Like, I think my, we're recording right now on phones, so I can't look up the list. But we're talking. I had a list.
Of the pictures or the list?
No, the list of all the monsters. I had a list of missing monsters from my collection, and I'll say right now, it was in the bits where it's like the Mega Neuron, the bug thing from Rodan. Right. I didn't have one of those. I didn't have a Matongo. I didn't have, which is going to change when the X Plus one that I pre-ordered comes out.
Yep.
But those. I think really you're looking at maybe like 5 or 6 things, and that includes like the flying version of Space Godzilla, which is not something that you'd normally count.
It was a little, it was a pretty small handful, because I think, now I don't remember if it was the first time or the second time that we went to Japan together. I remember going to some of the Mandarakes, and that you would pull up your phone and look at who you didn't have left. And I remember there was a few things that you were like, this is a thing that I'm specifically looking for. And I'm like, great. I have no idea what that is. But I would be like helpful in looking, like, because I think inadvertently I found that Gorgo.
Yes.
Which was such a like exciting moment for me, as a person who like didn't know what I was doing. But that I remember you having that little like notepad list on your phone for years of you trying to find these last couple things, and that there were a few Holy Grail items. I don't know if you call them Holy Grail or just Grail items.
We call them Grails.
Grails. Right? Yeah. You don't need them to be holy.
The definition changes depending on the person, apparently, but whatever.
Ask?
Don't get me started.
Yeah, don't get me started. I do remember that, and that there were a few times you did find things from the list, and that you got really super excited, as you would, as
I was pretty passive about that list.
Yeah,
it was I'm not a passive collector.
No, but you're a dude.
I'm really like I'm able to like hold off and be like, no, that's not the price I want.
Right.
For years.
I'm saying that not like you were on his phone scrolling this list throughout every store we were in. He wasn't. It was just sort of like, oh wait,
what am I on the lookout for?
Yeah, what do I need here? I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. If you see,
but it was maybe 6 items.
Yeah,
the Trilobite from their first Godzilla,
right?
Which that doesn't count as a kaiju, but whatever.
No.
The Meganeuron from Rodan, the Matango, Flying Space Godzilla, the Dorats. I don't have any Dorat representation.
Sorry, Rachel.
And I think that's about it. Shokurus, actually, from Godzilla 1985, another bug thing. The little sea louse in the beginning of the movie. There are little figurines of it, but by the time I got to the point where I only had 6 monsters on my list, my collection vision was like, oh, it'd be cool to finish that.
Right.
But I like this pretty figure that's like got the guts in it,
I can imagine that when you're like, do I buy 6 bugs and complete my collection, or do I get this beautiful thing with guts and glitter?
Yeah,
not a hard choice. So I get that too, but
and once I started paying attention to like what was coming out on the regular, like which was only in the past like 5 years. Yeah. It's been like, wow, nonstop giant monster toys everywhere, and it can get overwhelming.
So much so that you had to make a show about it.
I had to make a show about it.
And you're all welcome.
Yes. It's definitely the reason. But the one thing I would say about the collecting goals is that I like the collection itself. I feel like collecting goals are very fluid and can be changed, and like unless you are rigid about it, which some people are rigid about it, I was very not rigid, and then as time went on, I was like, because it was like lots of stuff, comic stuff and Star Wars stuff, and then it was like no. Just so now I'm at the point where I like really just buy kaiju stuff, and that's it.
Yeah, it really you've really narrowed it down a lot this last I think certainly since the Panera. You really have honed down in terms of, I feel like I haven't seen anything like non-kaiju related kind of come in the door at all.
Pretty much.
That wasn't, I know I'm like looking behind me that these are not the things, but they're, I'm racking my brain to think of something that you bought within the last 2 years that wasn't.
If it wasn't for the house, it wasn't for you or the dogs. It was for me. It was kaiju related.
Yeah, exactly.
Or electronics related.
Yeah.
But the kaiju purchasing, I think when, this last year is when essentially whatever my collecting goals were, like the brakes were hit in June when I had that ramen meeting with my boss.
Yes, true.
And so everything that I was like, ooh, I want to get this for collecting. Actually, first time I'm probably talking about this, 2021, at the very beginning of the year, I said, you know what, this year, I'm not going to get a ton of stuff. I'm going to get cool, big, expensive things.
Mm-hmm.
And the first few items that I purchased were one of the ones we were just talking about, if I can say it right, Sari Jiushi. 1964 Godzilla, got the clear skin with the guts inside. You know, that was an expensive figure. And that was not something I would normally spend. I would not normally spend that kind of money on something that I'm like, this is just for me to look at. This is pretty. But I specifically sold a whole bunch of stuff so that I could have that money for that figure because it's so gorgeous. And then that was followed up with the Clear Guts Mechagodzilla.
Yep.
But there was another figure that I was just about to start being on the hunt for. It's called the Megaton from Marmot. It's a Megaton Godzilla, so it's about like this tall.
Oh, geez.
And it's kind of like if Marmot made the Shogun Warriors Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really tall like that. It's really kind of stylized like Marmot's figures. And it is very beautiful, but also can be very expensive.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple people on the lookout for me, but once we got the news that we could potentially go to Japan, that's when I said, nope, I'm not.
No.
I'm going to try not to buy anything else for the rest of the year unless it's already been pre-ordered.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of exceptions there, but overall, I think my purchases in 2021 were less than 2020 and the previous years and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do think, because our whole perspective on what we were doing shifted.
Fully shifted.
We both kind of went like, oh, we should stop buying things.
Yeah, we should stop buying things. We should focus on what we need to do for this house to get sold.
Downsize things, pack things, not get more things unless they're things we really need for right now.
Right.
Or it's at least a thing that's like so cool we can't deal with it.
Yeah, that's it. I had a couple of pieces like that.
The reviews,
The Mondo Godzilla 84, I was like, I gotta have it.
Dumb crap. And clothes that we bought, like your cavity color stuff has been so good. We can't help ourselves sometimes, but we're human. I think it's been a really interesting process this year to see again how the collection has changed, how your collecting habits have even changed, and even just seeing how other people collect, watching it on the show seeing just even the styles of their three co-hosts about how often people get stuff, what they get, how much they spend, what they like. Like it's a really interesting community of people because it's just, it's not something I'm used to.
Now you're used to it.
Now I'm used to it, because I live it. I live it every day. But yeah, it's incredible to kind of see how much, especially, I can't imagine if you could go in your Wayback Machine and talk to little man Kyle.
Oh my gosh.
How much his brain would explode if you were like, these figures will exist and you will be able to afford them and you will have a room of them in your house when you're an adult and your wife will think it's okay. In fact, she's going to kind of like it.
Yeah. I think there are definitely moments where I am saying to myself, like, it would be hilarious to travel back in time and just sit down with my 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 20-year-old self.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey.
You just show him a picture of your collection room.
Check this out. Or, hey, did you know that in 2021 you will have been to Japan 11 times?
Yeah.
Like,
we won't talk about the pandemic.
Sure.
We'll tell you this.
Yeah.
This part is really
let
cool.
me not spoil this for you.
The cool part about the pandemic, no. Yeah.
Also, the 49ers win.
No. Sports.
Sports. But, so you can go back and bet.
Right. So you can buy more Kaiju.
Exactly.
Obviously. Sports Almanac.
I don't have the time machine available, though, so that's kind of moot.
No. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, so packing up the collection was okay, so we got the news in June, and if there's any sort of if anybody needs evidence that I'm a procrastinator, we got the news in June, and I didn't start packing up my stuff until mid-December.
Yeah. But technically, I will say, giving him credit, he is a procrastinator, but we did sort of plan it that way.
Right, yeah.
When we got the news in June, we literally planned out which rooms we were going to attack every month, and we did attack them every month and did what we said. So, technically, we were on track.
Yeah.
And he is on track for packing this stuff up. Could he have packed it earlier? Yeah.
I'm sure.
Sure. But the other part was, not only were you packing things up because you have to pack them all to either move or sell them, we're cataloging everything.
Yes.
So not only does he have to take every single figure out of that room, dust it, clean it, maybe give it a bath. I gave a few a shower. Q-tip it, toothbrush it, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we could just get in a whole nother video about how all the different ways you clean your kaiju. It's beautiful.
How to clean your kaiju.
How to clean your kaiju.
Keeping your kaiju clean with collectible monsters.
There was a process, and I've learned so many things about how to clean toys, take apart toys, so many things that I never knew about vinyl. And anyway,
the dishwasher method, right?
So many things. So hair dryers. I did not know that my bald husband would steal my hair dryer so often, but it happens.
It happens.
Happens a lot. I actually just gave him one. I was just like, please, just this one's yours now. But it really, like, that whole process. And then he brought them all in here. This white thing behind me is a box that I made, a light box for him to put all his figures in so we could take pictures of them all. So he would just have a seamless backdrop and it would just be the pictures of the things. So I've done photography in the past and I was just like, let me just do this thing for you so it's easy, so you don't have to like, so it doesn't look gross, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, thank you. I love it. And then we got his phone hooked up. We did the headphone trick. If you don't know this, by the way, people, if you plug your old headphones, not earpods. I don't know
if your headphones have the
volume
that do volume control.
The one with the string, the old school kids, the string. You can push that volume button and it takes a picture. Anyway, so you can use like an old school shutter.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to touch your camera and move it around. So we did that. And he took pictures of all the kaiju. So 1,300 pictures later?
Yeah, 1,300 pictures. And it's basically what I did is I did a front and a back shot. And sometimes I did a front side and the other front side and a back shot.
Or other details that
something
were important.
Like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like if something is broken, I took a picture of the broken piece, right? But like overall, it was mostly
like,
just getting it in there, twisting it.
Back.
Goodbye. Back on the table.
Yeah.
Once the table, once everything had been taken. So what I did is I took everything from the collection room. Mm-hmm. I brought pieces in here and put them on a table.
Mink.
Oh, and like basically I would fill the table. And then once that table was filled, I would then clean the figures. Once the figures were clean, I would take the pictures. Once the picture was taken, I would put it back on the table. And once all the pictures were taken, then it was time to pack them up. And so I had to then like roll everything up in bubble wrap and.
But even like, even before you got to the packing part, there were the levels of like being careful and cleaning and trying not to break things and things falling over on their own. And like just the hectic, like I don't think about toys being all that fragile. I mean, most of these are just light plastic, you know, they're for children, right? Some of the big ones that cost hundreds of dollars, not so much.
No, not so much. Not so
there
soft.
Were some choice adult words coming out of this room a few times because of things falling or breaking. Yeah. And I understand. There were a few things he was like, I'm not going to be sorry to never see this thing again.
Yeah.
I am happy to give this to a new person who can put it on a shelf and never touch it and it never break and it just looks beautiful and that's it.
Yeah,
because
there were definitely some figures that were like absolutely like, how on earth is this figure causing me so many problems?
Which one was the biggest pain in your butt?
To pack or to clean?
The whole thing. I don't know, give me your top three.
Top three.
Biggest pains in your butt.
X plus King Ghidorah.
Ooh,
okay?
Because he was so big.
X plus King Ghidorah. The only thing that you could... For people who don't know this, most of the X Plus figures come in a box that's smaller than the actual figure because you have to put the tail in with a hairdryer, like she was saying.
Yeah.
King Ghidorah, from head to tail, was one piece that was not separable except for his wings. You could only take his wings off. So every head, which is, they're all snaking in different directions. Every head I had to like bubble wrap around very carefully, just around the head.
Yeah.
So protect the horns and the face, and then some of the neck, and then I had to do like wrap the tail. I had to get really creative with taping up figures in bubble wrap, and like when it's time to sell all this stuff, and we have it like someone's gonna get a package with that King Ghidorah in it, and it's gonna have like a note in it that says, "Just take your time."
Be gentle with him. Yeah. He's delicate. He needs special.
Sharp knife. Look for the tape. You know?
Don't stab him or yourself, please.
Yeah, and some of those figures are freaking sharp. Yeah. Like, they've got like spikes coming out of them, so there are so many little pieces that have been like that have poked through like little plastic bits. I was like, so.
I do remember you talking about pieces of the kaiju breaking out of the plastic and stabbing you.
Yeah, King Ghidorah was the number one. He's the one that I remember the most because he was more recent. So,
right. Yes, he was.
Let's see. Who else was a big pain? I would say when I first started, I would get bubble wrap and then realize, oh no, I need way more bubble wrap or I got too much bubble wrap, right? So like learning the differences there, that was sort of a pain, even though that's not a single figure. So the first 3 boxes I packed up, not as well packed as the last 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I mean, basically,
what was the one that fell and broke that you were really upset about?
Rodan, 2019, which is already a figure that had its own problems. I fixed it. I mean, basically, thank God I've got model kit, skills, and so I was able to fix it. But basically, Rodan, the X Plus Rodan 2019 has this terrible stand that he was built to stand on, and what ended up happening was he was on his stand, and everything.
That was the wind from Osaka of G hearing you say that and getting mad.
He's getting embarrassed, probably. Yeah. Anyway, the deal was that he was on the stand, and I just tapped him with my arm, which was enough force to just make him go wee, like back just a centimeter or something, and slide right off his stand, and then his tail snapped off. But I found the tail, got my super glue, put it back together. It's all good. But yeah, that was annoying. The one step that I didn't talk about is that the way I had to break things up into doing this, where like first I had to pick what are the ones I'm keeping and not selling.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably your third most annoying thing, was just that you had to do it in a really weird order too, weird. Because of the way that you're going about this. Because it's not, I mean, you're not keeping everything in the room.
Yeah. You actually, they can sort of see behind us these.
Oh, yeah.
These are all the keepers.
Yep.
So this is basically everything I brought to that first table went in there. And some of it's X Plus figures.
Some of it's important things like Godzilla Tiki Mug.
Yeah. Like, I just don't want to get rid of that yet. No. That just came in this year.
Or me.
Yeah.
Barda.
Yep. Classic figures. Anyway, so once I had the keepers done, the next stage was to get the figures that have boxes, because I've been saving boxes for X Plus figures for a million years.
Yeah.
And I had a whole wall of them.
It was pretty impressive, actually.
Here at one point. Once those were finished, then it was like, well, I need a little break for my fingers. So I started doing the Bandai figures. And then, I don't know, just from there, it was like, what's left? And then it was just like that constant.
I think you were also trying to leave some of the figures you knew were going to be really annoying till the end.
Yes, I left King Ghidorah. What was it? During this process, there were 2 boxes that went missing.
Oh God, that was so
And
weird.
I was like,
you still can't find one of them, right?
Yeah, one. So Kamakarus, the bug guy from X Plus. He's here, but the box crawled away, and then one of them I did actually find because it fell down behind another box, but that was a little SH Monster Arts set. So I had like Kamakarus out on a shelf as sort of like, who's not like a pretty kaiju, right? Like he's like the only thing on display on this shelf in the other room because I'm like, where is this freaking box?
A weird bug, yeah.
But as it stands now, he's packed away. He does not have a box, and the SH Monster Arts stuff, I found the box for that, so those are all good.
Yeah.
But those were sort of like that thing with the missing boxes that caused me many expletives. It cost me many expletives coming out of my mouth. I was like, this is ridiculous. What is going on here? How could I get rid of this box?
Because you don't. Like, he is, as much as I've actually teased him about it in the past, he is a box hoarder. And we do have issues sometimes where I'm like, can we get rid of some of these boxes? And then every once in a while, I eat my words because I'm like, I need a box for this. And he's like, And then I'm like, I'm going to say this too, which we can bleep if we don't want to say this word on YouTube or whatever, or StreamYard. My parents have a thing where my mom will ask my stepdad to do something, but she'll ask up front, how many mother is it going to take? So I now ask him sometimes how many it's going to take before throughout his kaiju processes. Oh, wow. And usually, not so many. You do pretty well. I think there were a few in this.
I think I can usually identify when it's a multiple.
Yeah.
And so
how frustrated you're going to be. And
so this was not too bad. This was basically like just mildly annoying that you had to do it. The case comes with the territory.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was that whole kind of like, oh, I'm just tired because my fingers are getting into grooves that they don't do. Like, I don't use my hands as much as I used to.
Not only that, but just like dealing with this much cardboard. It's hard on your fingers. Yeah. Like, it just...
And the dust.
Dust.
So much dust.
Sneezing, runny nosy.
You know what? The great transition here for the cleaning process.
Oh, yeah.
So... Lady Kyle is my wife, but she wasn't my wife before. Back when Tiger was a baby, my other wife, my previous wife, I should say, she was a potter.
Yes.
Potter. So she would create pottery at home. And pottery, I guess I would say, the act of making pottery is dusty as hell.
So dusty.
And so I took figures. I used to just give figures a bath. Like, if they don't have a tag, I would put them in the shower and run them under that hot water stream. And it would actually keep them pretty clean. But figures that I've had since I lived in the house with her, like the Sega Daimajin figure, which is a big, tall Daimajin.
This poor guy, all of his little nooks and crannies are still kind of dusty.
Yeah.
Like we would really have to get in here with...
He just came up from upstairs, so he hasn't been cleaned.
No.
Yeah, so basically, I realized that just giving somebody a shower, they've got that, 20-year dust settled in their grooves, it just doesn't work, so...
This guy was on my nightstand, and he's a little bit dusty and gross,
so I started using a toothbrush. So I'd just get a wet toothbrush, and I would just...
Is that mine?
Yeah, I use your toothbrush. I use the electric one. No, I used an old one, and then I boiled it. And then I basically... Because, you just need a little bit of abrasion to get the dust off. Yep. And it worked really well. Once I started doing it, I was like, dude, I should have been doing this years ago.
Yeah.
But it really, there were times I was like, wow, this looks like a different figure because now all the dust is off.
And that's so much nicer.
But it's a good process. And thankfully, we had somebody come on the show at one point and tell us that the tags on a Bandai figure don't mean jack squat unless you just have it. You don't have to have it attached. So you could take the tags off. Keep them.
Yeah.
And then you can give your figure the full bath with everything and not have to worry about your fragile little paper tag.
Yeah. That's helpful.
Right, Hashi?
Oh, look at that smile.
Oh, yeah.
It's a boy. I think, too, that, the only thing I was going to say about all your cleaning is it was lonely for you. Yes. Because at the beginning of the process, I came up and I was helping with at least the photography part. I just kind of sat in the chair and took all the pictures for him as he kind of came in with the figures and was doing everything. But then you realized at some point, I think, that the cleaning part needed to happen in between. Yeah. So that created a backlog of me having to just kind of sit there while he washed things. And he was like, never mind, I can do it all myself. You can just go do other things. And I was like, all right, bye. And so I did. But that meant that he was up here by himself, basically just jamming out to music and doing his stuff. And he realized that he didn't have anybody to tell stories to about his figures. Yes, and he kept saying, oh man, I wish I had somebody with me so I could be like, did you know that this one, blah, 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 blah. And he didn't. And so I was like, oh, that's a big bummer. What were some of those stories?
Okay, well.
So do you remember any of the ones you wanted to tell?
There's definitely a couple I wanted to tell. So number one, I'll just start with the Burning Godzilla, and I'll flash an image of that up on the screen.
Which one was he?
Bandai Burning Godzilla from 1985.
Yeah.
Basically, this is a figure that someone... I was trying to get this back in like 1999 or 98 on eBay. And way back then, you actually could see who you were bidding against. There was like usernames that weren't hidden. And so I tried maybe 5 or 6 auctions to win a Burning Godzilla figure on eBay. And I kept getting outbid by the same dude every time. And after a bit, I was like, dude,
who is this guy?
Why do you need so many Burning Godzilla figures? And I actually wrote to him. I wrote him an email and I contacted him and I wasn't irate about it.
You were like, I'm gonna kill you, man.
You know, I don't have a lot of money and I'm just trying to get this figure and like,
please.
I just, could you let me win one of these? It really was. He was outbidding me on every one of them. And I wasn't into bidding wars, right? I wasn't one of those guys that's like, yeah, if I get outbid on something, I'm like, I don't need it. Goodbye. So yeah, I took that to heart when it's like, put your maximum bid in there. Like, that's my maximum bid. Yeah. Anyway, so I wrote to that guy and he actually wrote me back and said, hey, you know, I like to get these things and give them to kids. And he sent me one. I mean, I wasn't a kid. I was a young adult, but
did he know that? One. You were an adult?
I don't know. Do I care? I don't really care because...
He's like, oh, this poor child is so sad and emailing me.
Yeah, what that figure taught me was, it was my first introduction to Toy Karma.
Yeah.
Because basically, that guy helped me out, right? And I should actually say, the guy's name is Tab Murphy.
Tab Murphy.
And he is actually a writer in Hollywood and has done movies that you have seen. And
oh, dang.
So, yeah.
Way to go, Dad.
Yeah. And, actually he was part of Kaiju Masterclass. Steve Rifle invited him to something. And I was like, man, I really want to like get in there and just be like, hey, dude, do you remember the whiny guy on eBay who was complaining?
Do you remember that small child on eBay you helped? It was me.
Yeah.
It was me.
So that was one of them.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a cool story. Man, what was one of the other ones? I don't even, that was probably like the biggest one I wanted to talk about. Like, I don't need to like go crazy on this stuff, but basically I have so much stuff out like that. Yeah. It's,
I don't know.
I'm at the point where I'm like, I can sit
and talk about I can think of 3 to 4 people that I actually have gotten to witness react to that room in its sort of like complete version. Mm-hmm. And my own reaction to it was one thing. Like, I walked in that room when we first started dating and I first came over to the house and I was like, this is really cool. But I think that I also am a weird person who knows people who collect a lot of weird things. And I was like, I respected your commitment and the work and the time that it takes to collect that many things to lay them out in a cool way, to have it displayed nicely for people to come and like check it out. And not only was it like that, you also had art up and you had it in a movie room with a projector. So it was sort of like an entire experience.
It was an experience. The
Kaiju love letter
experience, yes.
to tokusatsu and kaiju films in my experience. And I'm a movie nerd and person, which is a thing we totally have bonded over the years. So to me, it was like, holy crap, this is a whole amazing thing, right? But almost every other person that's walked into that room has just been like, oh my God, these toys! Like, that's the focus. So many people, that's what the thing is. And I think the only person who didn't, of the people I can think of, was my mom, which was so funny because she walked up there and the only thing I really remember her saying was like, I love Godzilla. And I went, I've literally never heard you say that in my life. What? And they had this lovely conversation about it. And I was just like, this is such a strange thing that it literally just brings people together. It's just this lovely, wonderful thing. Keith Foster was wonderful. You still have the video of that. It was really great because he's also a huge fan. So that was just wonderful for him to experience.
Yeah.
And then get to just experience it with him was really fun. And then Chelsea, which was probably the funnest and weirdest.
Chelsea is a friend of ours from Japan.
Yeah.
And she's like, she speaks perfect English, but she
went to school with my sister. My sister went to school in Japan. She studied abroad. She was an exchange student when she was 15. And she went to school with this girl. They've been friends ever since. And so Chelsea also studied abroad here in America. which is why her English is so good. She's known English for 15 plus years. So she came to visit my sister. She also came to visit us. She came to the house to see it because we had told her about it when we saw her and visited her house in Osaka. And she knew that you collected the toys. She saw some of the ones you bought when we were there.
That's right. Yeah, we did that video.
Heard how much they cost. It blew her mind. Her husband even knew some of the stuff. The only thing that they bonded, they bonded over knowing just the characters because they were about the same age too, which was really funny because he didn't speak any English.
Yeah.
And we, at the time, barely spoke any Japanese. We still don't. And he did the Damajin thing, right?
Yeah.
He brought the toy out and he did the thing and it was so great because Chelsea's like, what? And the two of them were like, yeah! And it was this beautiful moment.
So because he didn't speak English and because Chelsea did speak English, she was translating.
But she didn't.
It would get weird because she doesn't know the characters of the shows or anything. And then Inoki would recognize what I was talking about. And then it would be this weird thing where we were going around the translation. Yeah. And she was like sitting there going like, what?
But then she came here and saw the room. And I don't think, we didn't film it. I don't think we should have. But she was like, I thought her brain was going to explode. It was like her walking into a mandarake, but it was a thing that someone owned.
Mandarake. Yeah.
It was so, she was like, oh my God. And she just could not handle it at all. And it was.
Do you remember what she said to you?
No.
She goes, are you okay with this?
I'm like, yeah, it's not my money. Like, we have this nice house full of these toys. It's fine. Like, if we were living on the street with this collection, I might be concerned, but no.
Thankfully, that's good. Not the case.
No, it's fine. But yeah, it's been your collection has brought some joyous experiences into my life in a way that I didn't expect it would, which is so funny because it's not even my thing. So having it get taken apart is a weird experience even for me because it's like, so much a part of people coming to our house and seeing
it really is part of that for sure.
Seeing our home and our, our stuff. So I think it's really cool. And it looks so weird in there now.
It does look weird in there now. It's still kind of messy, but
do you want to go?
Yeah.
You want to go look? Should we go look?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's empty. Yeah. It's empty, but it's also, it's not fully empty. So it's not worth showing you everything, but it
mostly looks like that.
Yeah, you're talking about what we have in here are my model kits that I've put in open top boxes because they need to be Babyly style transported to our new home whenever that happens. And I guess other stuff like that. I'm giving some things to some friends that's up there. There's a lot of work to go into just the cleanup of this room without it having to do with an actual collection. So here's where we are. I have everything packed up. I'm excited to have everything in cataloged, to have everything in a spreadsheet, to have everything photographed. I'm excited to definitely step into our new home and what that's going to look like for setting up a collection for at least a little while. Yeah. And B, the show, like broadcasting the show, how that's going to look, wherever that's going to be.
Yeah. Because I think I keep thinking about your collection in terms of like, I know you're keeping some stuff and some stuff's going to go with us when we get a house in Japan. You keep making the joke, obviously, you don't want to take the whole collection back to Japan.
I don't want to take it back to where it came from.
Yeah. It's be like, why would we take them home? That seems wrong, right? And I understand that. Also, it's like expensive to send stuff over there. Like I had family who moved over to Europe. I know how much stuff costs to ship over there. They had a crate container and they had to do it twice. They sent stuff there and sent stuff back. And I know it's expensive and neither of us want to do that, especially because we know that's where they come from. We can get more.
We're gonna do that with some stuff. There's just a couple. There's like, I'd say when we move to Japan, we're gonna have, aside from our clothes, like we've already talked about. Aside from the clothes, we have
because we can't fit
a number of things that we need to have with us, but it's not much. No. And I'm gonna take what
the
is
collection.
the keeper.
Yeah.
Actually, what I should say is I've sequestered the keepers that I think I'm keeping.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that, 6 months down the line, I'm probably going to be like, maybe I don't need this. Maybe I don't need that. Some of the things, as I mentioned to you when we first started this whole process, I was like, I've only had this piece of my collection for 3 months. I don't want to get rid of it just yet.
Not right away.
Not right away.
And I too am like, again, I'm not asking him to get rid of anything because I don't. It's not for me. But yeah, it's more about space and size and kind of what works and aesthetically what you like.
Yeah, I think there's
altogether.
a heavy aesthetic going on, right? Because if it was literally just the process of like, I've got to get rid of stuff because we're going to be in smaller spaces.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But then there was like this whole like I was just saying, my attachment to some of these items. I was like, I'm just not ready to give this up yet. Or this is so cool that I won't be able to find it in Japan.
Right.
And
that's a great idea. Like example.
Yeah.
Oh, what we were talking about.
Shogun Warriors Rodan
That's what I'm pointing
is
at,
what she's pointing at. And basically, it's not, I can't get that again, I mean, not without spending so much money. So, there are things that I'm trying to keep for value and for my own aesthetic likes. And then there are things that I'm trying to keep for, or just like there are things that I'm trying to keep right now that I might not feel the same way about it in a year from now.
True. Well, and again, the collection will change over time. And I almost asked, like, what version of your collection would you call this now? Oh my gosh, don't knock over the equipment, baby.
That's interesting.
Because, like, I would say probably the max peak version of this in the house, that wouldn't even be like version 1, right?
Well, the peak collection is now, right? Technically speaking, I have the most amount of stuff right now.
Yeah, or like a month ago when it was all
before.
Out.
Yes, but also before I got rid of a few things, right? Because there have been a couple of people that I'm like, oh, I know this guy wants X.
Yeah, so it probably would have been like this summer.
So this summer, before June, that's when I would have like been at peak collecting.
I'm sorry, what? Are you interrupting?
Just before we got the news that we are potentially able to go to Japan.
That would have been like the Uber collection. Yeah. So then that probably was version what, 2?
I'd call it version 2, right? So like version 1 of my collection was like before I got involved with really getting stuff from Japan.
Yeah.
And then this is version 2 here. And then version 3 of the collection is going to be so much different.
And then 4 might be what happens in Japan.
4, who knows at this point?
We don't know.
We don't know.
American collection, well, it could be like 2.5 is whatever happens while we're still here.
I like that idea because the idea is not to buy more stuff while we're in this sort of in-betweener phase.
Yeah. I mean, again, unless some cool thing comes out or you have a pre-order showing up
something I
tomorrow.
Can't live without. I think I only have a few things on pre-order tomorrow.
How many more? How many pre-orders are showing up?
How many pre-orders do I have? I think I have
is getting sent to this house after
pre-orders.
We move. Hopefully none.
Matango, but I could change that.
He's bumpy. I don't want him anyway.
So actually, that's the main reason that he has not been part of my collection. I've passed on Matango figures because I usually show her everything. I'm like, look at this cool thing I got. And I'd be like, look at this cool Matango. And she'd be like,
I don't like bumps. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Poor Matango. I love mushrooms. He's just, why is he bumpy? It's unnecessary.
Love mushrooms.
So I don't know.
But yeah, I don't think there's much more on the way, and the goal right now, sorry, collect all monsters, monster collectors, but the goal right now is for 2022 to be not a collecting year. It is a year to work on what we need to do to get us to Japan, basically. So, and that means pulling so far back on purchases that I'm not going to be sharing mini box days on the show and stuff, but that's okay because I think that when we get there, when we live in Japan, Collect All Monsters is going to take on a new meaning and take on a new, slightly different format, even though we're still planning on Even though we're still planning on doing the show somewhat at the same time and stuff like that. But I'm really excited to see how the collection changes and how our lives change and how all that stuff shakes out when we get there.
If I start collecting weird things when we're in Japan. I probably will.
I hope so.
The Gashapon's going to get
me. Those capsule toys.
So good.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So is there anything, should we conclude with anything? Is there any
I don't know.
Final questions?
I guess, we were saying this is probably all going to be done and wrapped up by the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's just moving into the new place. So the next time you see the two of us together talking about monsters and things, we'll probably be in the new house.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be in the new house.
And then hopefully I will be helping out a little more with Collect All Monsters this year as well.
That would be awesome.
Which is one of my New Year's resolutions.
All
so
right.
you guys know that. Not collecting, helping with Collect All Monsters. And then seeing what happens with that and then moving forward with Japan.
The move to the Far East. Yes.
So excited.
Well, I guess what I should say is thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
I really appreciate you guys as viewers and really want to see what you guys are expecting from my collection in the future. If you have any questions about the process of packing this entire room up, just let me know down below in the comments. And, hey, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and all the other cool stuff. I've never ever said this before in a video. Ring that bell, get the notifications for Collect All Monsters.
Because we might make more videos like this if you like these.
That's true.
Do you like us?
I'm going to pack up my collection again just to make another video if you like it.
We will unpack it and we'll pack it again. No. We do have to do that.
We do kind of have to do that somewhat. Anyway.
Later.
Well, anyway, that's going to do it for us. And thank you again to my wife for being here and helping me with this and helping us with the future of Collect All Monsters. And we will see you for another thing in the future.
Yep. Shiny. Do you need to say something? Hold on. Let's see. Roxy had something to say. Oh, was it kisses? I'm not. I have stuff on my face.
Anyway.
Okay.
Roxanne.
Ma'am, you have something to say about the collection?
What do you think about this room, Roxy?
Yeah.
Are you sad to see it dismantled?
Does it make you upset? Do you feel bad? You hate it?
Wow, she like disappears right into those
I
shelves.
know. She's so dark. Okay. We'll let you go out or do something in a little bit, okay?
Hey, what's up? What's up? And it's me, Kyle. I'm here for a live Q&A against my green screen background. Thanks, Halsey, for the dog fart. I think it was real, right? How's it going, everybody? Thank you for watching and tuning in. I know this is probably like, what is he doing? Weren't they just live? And no, that was a video that we recorded about a month ago. I hope you guys can hear me. I actually forgot to check that before I began. Can you still hear me out there? Everything good? Did you guys enjoy that video? I just kind of wanted to stick around and see if anybody had any questions, and if I could answer anything. And I'd be happy to answer questions, especially if they're about my collection. Like Bill is asking, what was the crazy panda in your cabinet? And actually, you know what I could even do? Hang on one second. I can show you exactly what that is because I have, check this out. I actually have all of my collection photos open. Like I can just zoom, go find one, grab it, and then I can get it on screen. So the panda, to answer Mr. Carnage, that is from the my neighbor Kaiju. It's a Gotochi Kaiju, which is a project that was helmed by Hiroshi Sagai, rest in peace, and oh man, I'm forgetting his name. Totally blindsided by this question, unfortunately. But the guy who played the Monster Prince in the Ultraman episode. God, man, I have so many Japanese names rattling around in my head right now. Anywho, they did this project where they talked to every prefecture in Japan and basically set up a kaiju that's like they design a kaiju based off of that prefecture's insert cool crap here, right? So like the panda specifically is Tokyo prefectures, and it specifically does it's specifically because of Tokyo being famous for a panda in the zoo. No lie, that's why, but that's what Pandan is. And I know I have his picture here. I know it for sure. He's in here somewhere. They're just all really tiny. So I'll find it and then I'll show him off. But he's a really big figure and he was made by Future. And if I recall, one of the people that made that figure, I just found them on Instagram. So I'm a new follower for them. So I don't have any information about them specifically. Or the photo at my fingertips like I thought. Man, I'm being defied by technology here, guys. That's okay. I'll find it. And if I find it, when I find it, I'll post it. What else we got here? Robert Dwyer said, do I use any special programs to catalog all my photos? No. Actually, I am really old school when it comes to computer stuff. And so I just use folders in my computer. So that screen I showed was basically the icon view of the folder of 1,300 images. And then they're just all sort of shrunk down so that it's only like 1, 2, 3, 4 pages worth of scrolling. However, yes, Sojiro Uchino. Thank you, Robert. I knew I could count on you, Robert. You're the man. Anyway, yes. Let's see here. Sojiro Uchino, he had his hand in Gotoichi Kaiju. That's what I was trying to recall. Thank you again, Robert, for that. So yeah, I don't have any programs that I'm using to catalog, but basically I might be reaching out to Sean Lincolnback about some stuff he tried to work up with an app. I don't know how that worked out exactly, but I'm going to be talking to him soon anyway for some Collect All Monsters stuff. So at some point I'm hoping to actually have something to input. But right now, I have photos, and then I have a Google spreadsheet, like a Google Docs spreadsheet, where I created a spreadsheet that says column 1, maker, column 2, name of figure, column 3, description, stuff like that. Trying to make a database, in a sense, of all my figures. And then my fingers are crossed that what'll happen is when I talk to my web developer or my web host, they will actually say that there is some sort of system where I can import that into it, and it turns it into a web store. And that's where I'm currently at with that situation. I haven't actually created too much of the spreadsheet, really just only a few items, line items as it would be. Yeah, I at this point, in terms of like, what am I using the catalog? We're waiting to actually do the cataloging until we get into the new place. Like right now, we're 100% focused on this next house. So we get to go look at houses tomorrow, which I'm really stoked for. That's the first time we've been able to go out with a realtor. Let's see. Question from Helmy. By the way, first up, thanks to you. 21 people are still hanging out here. You guys rule. Thank you for hanging out, and thank you for watching that video. Means the world to me. You guys are awesome. Helmy's asking, what's the ETA on the move to Japan, 2022 or 23? Well, since we're in 22, damn, man, it would be rad. Pie in the sky with no resistance from anyone anywhere. I would love to move to Japan for my birthday in September. That would be dope AF. But we are trying to be really realistic about it. And there's a whole bunch of, I want to check some boxes, like take a Japanese class. I have never taken a class on Japanese. Everything I've learned has been through audio books and stuff like that. So anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure when. I would love for it to be sooner, but my guess is 23. Chris Reed says, I emailed you a while ago asking about the Godzilla box set. I ended up buying an international Blu-ray player to watch the old Godzilla movies here in Australia. Oh, mostly Heisei. So happy I did. Great to hear, man. Hopefully I helped with that. Yeah. That's right, because you guys have the Madman stuff down in Australia. Also, Chris Reed, if you have not met, I'm sure you guys know each other already, Helmy, right? Because you're both in Australia. Anyway. Yeah, international mates. I will never be trying an Australian accent ever again. So, what else do we have here? Chris Reed wonders, will my new setup or display in Japan be similar? I don't know. If you saw the video, basically what my collection is going to boil down to is what would fit onto a table. And one of the reasons we know that we don't want to move to Japan and get a big house in Japan. So we're downsizing anyway here in America, right? Basically, we're kind of like a dual income, no kid situation. I've already had my kid. He's already grown up and an adult. So we're just kind of moving along at our own pace. And like what that means for us in terms of Lady Kyle and me is that we have, oh my God, I'm like all over the place with this conversation. What that means for us is that we want to live a little smaller than we currently are, right? Like I live in a 4-bedroom house, and I think I said this in the video. It's ridiculously huge for what it is. It's unnecessarily huge for us. So the idea of downsizing just sounds great anyway. Plus we have this house here in the Portland area that's worth X amount of money. And so we're going to sell it, take some of the money, buy a place in Japan, some of the money, buy a place around here that's smaller. So basically, our goal is to downsize anyway. So downsizing the collection is just part of that. And it's not because, I'm not doing it because like, I feel like I've got too big of a collection or something like that. I'm doing it because our goal is to go to Japan, and I'm not taking an entire shipping container worth of toys back to Japan where they were born. Somebody earlier said something about like, yes, take them back and release them in the wild. But you know, for me, I'm going over there. Yes, I'll be buying toys when I live in Japan. That would be, I'd be lying to myself if I tried to say I'm not going there. Part of it isn't to get great toys and stuff, but I am really going. I freaking love Japan. I love that country's culture. I love. There's things I don't like about it too. I know it's not perfect, but for me, it's more about the experience and really taking the time to like move there and like immerse myself in that land. Okay, so what's the rough estimate of what I'll be taking to Japan? 10%? That seems like a lot, honestly. I'm not even sure if that's even accurate. I need to count it. Also, when I was separating things out, there was a couple things where I was like, "Oh, do I need this, or is this going to go into the getting rid of pile?" So, Jonathan Portman is asking what area of Japan we're thinking of settling down in. Near Tokyo is what I'll say, because in the grand scheme of things, oh, that's going to look cool. Ooh, look at that against the green screen. Anyway, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to have enough money to buy like a killer house in Tokyo. And I don't want to live, we're 40-year-olds, you know, we're in our 40s. I'm not really interested in living in the tiny, cramped little apartment in the middle of the city, you know, so we're going to be living sort of in some burbs. If I find something that I like, that is, so we shall see about that. What else do we have? Nice. Hey, I like that I'm connecting Chris and Helmy. Yeah. Kaiju fam. Yeah, man, you'll be golden for exclusives that can go to a Japanese mailing address. You know, there's a lot of benefits to that. And I'm just going to say that I have a lot of ideas for Collect All Monsters and how it might expand past just a show on YouTube and take the community level to a different stage. I don't know. My brain is one of those kinds of brains that like is constantly thinking of ideas and things and cool shit to do. And for me to like be in Japan, damn, dude, it's going to be great, right? So like I'm going to live there. I'm going to be able to go do all the cultural stuff I want to try. I'm going to be able to eat all the freaking food I want. And like go, we want to go do, hang on. I'm setting up a second channel, right? Which I know Helmy knows about, a couple other people know about. We're doing a second channel, just me and Lady Kyle, and it's just going to be about the move to Japan. So we're going to document the whole process, essentially, do little videos about how we are getting to Japan. Because for me, I don't really know anybody who's in a situation like I am. Yeah, I'm sure there are tons of people who are married with another gaijin wife, want to move to Japan, and they've done it, and they probably even have killer YouTube channels. I just haven't found them. So we're going to do it, and we're going to continue to build not just on like the process of going to Japan, but once we get there, show off like how we did the house buying, show off what where we end up being, like what area we're going to settle in. Like I said, like the suburbs, Tokyo is freaking huge city, absolutely massive city. Actually, if you ever fly into Tokyo during the day, make sure to take note, like out the window of the plane, like how just gigantic it sprawls, city forever. Anyway, so we're gonna be in not yeah, we're not in that city, but we're going to be near the city, near enough so that we can get to it when I want to. And man, I want to take advantage of not just the Japanese address, but the Japanese exclusives. Like whenever Maru-san does one of those shows, like want to be able to like zip out to that show and maybe interview him a little bit, talk to him for Collect All Monsters, and maybe pick up one or two of those collectibles that are exclusives. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So let's see here. Questions. Where do we leave off? Downsize is great. Thanks, Greg. Helmy's wondering if I'm going to be setting up another home theater again. So what I will say is in the next place, we probably won't be setting up a home theater in the next place to you know, I love a home theater, but actually this house, I think we're selling the home theater with the house. I think that's the plan. I love having a home theater, but I had one for 11 years and I have used it less and less as my life has gone on. So I think if I'm going to do another home theater, Helmy, you're going to be my inspiration, bro. And I'm going to go like full kaiju nuts to the wall, awesome with it. And I'll have to like, if it's going to, oh man, like think if I did a home theater, if I had a home in Japan that supported a home theater and I could go out and find like old ratty, huge posters out in the countrysides and stuff like that. You guys, I just had an imagination boner there. That was crazy. That, like, seriously, like the idea that I could just get on a train and go out to a remote toy store and just have a fun little adventure and take people along. That's what the channel, that would be perfect for the channel. So Leslie says that he hears that the cottages on Lake Myojin are really affordable and the scenery is beautiful. I actually have heard exactly that. And so Lake Myojin is at the top of our list. Also, I think we're going to go to Okinawa and find the temples on the beach and stay there for a little while. Anyway, thank you, Tanner. Thank you for saying this. I really appreciate that. I think that anybody who really jumped on board with Collect All Monsters in these first years, like I think they're just going to love what ends up happening with it. Everybody is so active and so supportive and so positive in this group, and not just the group, the Facebook group, but like everything that we've been doing has just been met with a lot of approval. And like, I really hope that we continue to do things that you guys like. Let's see here. Let's see. I don't think I see any more questions. It'll be like a modern day Tom and Diane in Japan. Tom and Diane, those guys. They said they really did some awesome work. And I remember back when, like when GMK was coming out and they went to the Since Godzilla exhibition, like I think it was like in April of 2001 or 2 or something like that. I have a poster for it. Anyway, I was loving their report from that. Man, love Diane too. Hopefully I could do something cool at most of the events that happen or most of the events that are available to me. There's some really cool stuff about Japan that they only recently changed that really make me very happy. And that's like, they've opened up the rail passes to foreign residents, which is freaking huge, right? So hands up, anybody who's been to Japan, if you've ridden on the bullet trains, those tickets could get pretty expensive. So expensive tickets, for example, gosh, can I do this off memory? I think I can. For example, if you were to fly into Tokyo and decide, oh, I want to go to Osaka, right? Or Kyoto. Either of those two cities about the same. If you decided you wanted to take a bullet train, one-way bullet train trip from Tokyo to Osaka or to Kyoto is going to be about $150. So back the same way, $300. A week-long rail pass, which covers that entirely, is like $275 or something like that. And they sell them in 1 week, 2 week, and 3 week passes, I think. And so if you can imagine, if you were to fly into Tokyo, or hell, if you lived in Tokyo and you could have access to one of these things, you could bounce all around the country in a matter of 2 weeks or 3 weeks and really take advantage of this. And like, that's really what I want to do. I want to take advantage of these rail passes that are available to the residents and go do some crazy stuff. There is a popular YouTuber named Chris Broad who has a channel named Abroad in Japan. I'm sure if you are a Japanophile, you are probably aware of it. Recently, he showed off a poster that he had that showed every prefecture in Japan, and he like marked them off. Like, these are all the prefectures, and he's been to every single prefecture. And I was like, that sounds like a ton of fun, because every prefecture in Japan is different. Every single prefecture has something culturally to add. And if I was to go to a prefecture and find out that there's some killer kaiju connection or some killer toy connection or something awesome happening there, I would definitely cover that for the channel. But the idea that we could go around Japan thanks to the rail passes being available is really, really phenomenal. And for people who love traveling, love seeing this culture stuff, it's like a game changer, in my opinion. And I hope that I'm right. I hope that it continues to be available to foreign residents, because I'm really interested in utilizing that as a tool throughout my time in Japan. Someone else above asked if I was thinking about making it a permanent move. I think at this time, we currently think it's very possible that we might want to stay in Japan forever, but we are looking, I guess, leaning towards leaving at the end of the visa. Like, so we'd get a visa for 3 to 5 years. And then at the end of that 3 to 5 year period, we'd head back home and move back into a house in the States. I'm saying that with the full knowledge that I would have probably no problem deciding to settle down in Japan and live there forever. However, that gives us 5 potential years of living in that country, experiencing so much. I don't know. We might be cool to come back, or we might just be like, yeah, I think we're staying in Japan. We're open to both, honestly. Robert Dwyer's asking if I'm thinking of getting rid of my posters. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to be getting rid of all my posters. Posters are definitely not, they're eventually getting rid of them. The posters are not going to be something that I take to Japan with me. Any Kickstarter ideas that I've been thinking about? Dude, yeah, I've been thinking about lots of Kickstarter ideas. Now, I will be honest that in terms of Kickstarter, and I'll say crowdfunding campaigns, I do have a running concept for a Collect All Monsters Kickstarter where the co-hosts basically take to Japan and document the process, but with some intent. Like, we'd have to narrow down the intent. I'd want it to be something where we explore things that haven't really been explored, or do some things that haven't really been done. And that, it just would be, we're all on board with doing it, but man, that the whole COVID thing really trashed any plans of going forward with travel for us, at least. Really unfortunate, but hey, there's definitely travel in the future. Hopefully we're getting on top of stuff. Fingers crossed. I just keep hoping someday Japan's going to be like, guess what? We're opening our borders to tourism again. Once that happens, my friends, once that happens, Chris Reed, hopefully you will go to Japan, hopefully someday. Yeah, Japan is awesome and you should go. That's just a generic statement to everyone. You should go to Japan, especially if you liked. And yes, like Helmy, I used to go often pre-COVID. It's really unfortunate. And Bill's asking if I could rent my house here in the States while I was in Japan. Yes, that's the plan, my friend. The yokai, yeah, Helmy wants to visit the yokai museum in Sakai Minato. I also want to visit that. If anybody's curious what that means, that is where Shigeru Mizuki, the creator of Gegege no Kitaro, is from. And all throughout the town, apparently, there are bronze statues of yokai. And then there's a museum, and that'd be awesome. Anyway, oh yeah, Godzilla's 70th for a Kickstarter. We shall see. We shall see. Well, hey, what's up, James Davis? I guess I should stick around since people are still just joining. I'll ask right now: are there any more questions? Did I forget anything? I'll scroll back a little bit here and see if there's anything that I missed. I would really, if anybody has any questions about Japan, I'm happy to answer them now. Anyway, since I'm on the stream, it's going to be an interesting move when it comes time because, like I said, this downsizing aspect of things, right? So we're taking a 4-bedroom home that's like a 4-bedroom home with the bonus room and the full shebang with the kitchen and garage and everything, and we're chopping all that way in half to get into a smaller place. And then once we're done and ready to move to Japan, we got to sell off everything else because we're taking our clothes with us. I'll ship something over, but man, I just am not. We're getting rid of everything essentially. Yeah. Let's see here. Ooh, you know what? There's some good questions. Let's answer some questions. Okay. Helmy, they shine the lights on the yokais for the shadows. See, I'd have to go there. That's Sakai Minato, right? Anyway, Tanner is asking, does Collect All Monsters have any plans for G-Fest this year? Okay. G-Fest is set for mid-July at the Hyatt in Chicago. And because I wanted to make sure that if it was happening, we had a table. So, yes, we have a table in the dealer's room. Yes, we have a potentially slotted schedule for a panel. And I have my hotel booked. So I don't know exactly I don't know how I'm going to feel about G-Fest when it comes time to go to G-Fest. At this point, I'm not super stoked about indoor events. I know that there's a vibe that's changing, and I don't know how that's going to play out exactly. But at this point, yes, we have a presence at G-Fest planned. All of that is subject to change, however. Robert Dwyer is asking, so is Japan completely closed to tourism right now? Yes, it is closed to tourism. I believe it's open for other venues like business and religious reasons, whatever. But yeah, closed to tourism. We're waiting for it. Currently, if you wanted to go to Japan and you were approved to go to Japan, you would have to spend several days in quarantine. Plus, you have to take a PCR test before you get on the plane. It's like 24 hours before you get on the plane, but less Like when you land in Japan, you still have to be within a certain time period. Sounds like a little bit of a pain in the ass to me, but that's like how they're doing it for people who like are residents and are approved to travel there. And currently, there's no tourism, and fingers crossed that they open it back up. But I know that my friends from Japan who are concerned about the tourism business were very carefully eyeballing the Omicron variant and how that was affecting Japan. So I'm not sure when that's going to open back up, but fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Am I going to recollect all monsters when I get to Japan? I guess what I would say, because someone else asked me about what my setup was going to be like in Japan, right? I can't say what it's going to look like because I don't know what the house is going to look like. But what we're not doing is we're not buying a tiny apartment. We're not buying something brand new. We're not buying something mega crazy nice. We're buying something with some character, probably a little older. And if there's a room for me to do a collection, that'd be great. I think the plan right now is that we're looking for something where it's going to have a bedroom for us, a guest room, and an office that we can use to shoot in, or an office and another room where we can use to shoot in. And that sounds like a lot of rooms, and it is, but that's definitely possible. I've been doing a lot of research on homes in Japan and what's available for sale in areas just outside of Tokyo. And there's some good stuff out there, surprisingly good stuff. Helmi says that I should do an Airbnb Godzilla themed room. Oh, we just aren't super cool with a whole ton of people like coming through. It's not strangers, at least. Anyway, we've promised our family that we have to have a guest room of some sort. So I think most of our family is excited that we'd be moving to Japan. Some of our family not super psyched that I'm taking the daughter away. Oh, James Davis Films suggesting you should check out the Cheap Houses Japan Instagram page. My friend, I'm already subscribed. a lot of cool houses on that. Those houses are great, but man, so they've got to be so far away. Only once have I seen something where I was like, I think maybe I should look into this place. But I'm not looking into any places for serious about purchasing in Japan until I can actually go back and see something in person. Yeah, exactly, Helmi. They could be haunted. Lady Kyle and we like ghosts. I love J-horror, and I would honestly, if someone died in the house, I wouldn't be upset about living there, And that, of course, we don't want to die at the hands of a yurei, but I'd be willing to entertain it for sure. LZ says that all those cheap spots are pretty rural, and yes, you're all right there. There's a lot of them out there that I'm just like, that's got to be so cheap because it's so far away. I love seeing the ones that are like classic Japanese homes that were like immaculate looking. And you're like, where is this? And it's like, it only takes 4 hours to get there by train from the most remote city of Japan. Those are great though. And if you haven't checked it out, seriously, Cheap Houses Japan is real fun. I'm not subscribed to the newsletter though. Anyway, I think unless there's any more questions, I'm probably going to wrap this up. Thank you guys all for being here. Thanks, seriously, for sticking around. I am really looking forward to what ends up happening next. And I know that when I have some cool updates, they'll get shared. But until, we're literally in a new place and I can set up some sort of broadcast studio with toys around me, I'm not going to be happy. So I'm looking forward to getting this set up, not just for me, but for you guys as well. And hopefully I don't know. It seems like I'll probably be doing the next show from in this room in this same house, just because timing, housing, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm really hoping that soon, very soon, I'll be in a new collection room and be able to show it off for you guys. That would be really cool. But until then, I guess our planet may be doomed, our Earth devastated, and the monsters in revolt. We must unite and collect all monsters. See you later. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.